You ever have a moment so small it shouldn't matter, like a receipt on a screen or a wrapper in the trash, but it hits you sideways like a memory you never lived? For me, it was a random Tuesday afternoon. I'd just gotten home early for once. Nothing dramatic, just wrapped a meeting ahead of schedule and skipped the gym. I tossed my bag on the couch, went to check the weather on our shared tablet. Something stupid like, do I need to cover the grill tonight? But there it was. Uber app. Open on the tablet. Not even fully open, just hovering in the background like she'd forgotten to close it. Took me a second to register what I was looking at. A trip history window. Auto-synced. 2 rides, same night. Pickup. 1:41 a.m. Drop-off. Waterside Lux Hotel. Downtown. 2 passengers. Return. 3:10 a.m. Destination. Crescent Street, Midtown. My stomach sank so fast I actually looked away. Not our house. Not our neighborhood. Crescent Street. Why did that sound familiar? I tapped the address. Maps app pulled up. Cole Martin's building. Mia's manager. Her mentor. Guy I've never liked but couldn't exactly say why until that moment. I told myself it was a mistake. Could have been anything. Carpool. A detour. But 2 passengers. 2 in the middle of the night? I wanted to believe there was an explanation. Hell, I needed there to be one. I stared at the screen like if I just looked hard enough, the truth would change. But it didn't. I closed the app and sat down on the edge of the couch. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears. Okay, calm down. Don't jump to conclusions. I needed to ground myself to find something, anything that made sense. I grabbed the keys and headed down to the garage. Opened the car. Passenger seat was pushed farther up than usual, closer to the dash like someone shorter had ridden up front. Mia's 5 feet 7 inches and keeps it reclined a bit. This wasn't her setting. The car still had a faint scent. Something not hers, sharper than her usual vanilla lotion. Like gardenia? Expensive perfume. Not strong, but there. Lingering. I checked the glove box. My hand brushed something smooth paper. Parking voucher. Waterside Lux Valet. Time-stamped 1:55 a.m. And next to it, a small beige hair tie. One of those dainty ones. Not the kind Mia wears. Hers are thick, black, coiled ones because of her curls. I just sat there, holding it between my fingers, like I was touching a wire with current still running through it. Couldn't breathe. This was real. It was happening. And yet, somehow, I still needed more. I tossed the tie back, shut the glove box and went inside. The clock read 5:58 p.m. 2 minutes later, she walked in the door. Mia looked normal. Too normal. Blouse tucked neatly into jeans. Not a hair out of place. Eyes bright like she just stepped out of a photo shoot. She leaned down to unclip her heels by the door, humming something under her breath. Probably some indie track she'd been listening to on repeat lately. "Hey babe," she said, glancing over. "You're home early." "Yeah." Meetings wrapped up faster than I expected. "Good day." "Quiet," I replied. She walked into the kitchen, reached for a wine glass. "You want one?" she asked. "No, I'm good." She poured herself a small one and leaned on the counter, watching me. There was something unreadable in her gaze, almost like she was studying me, waiting for me to say something first. Then she said it. "You've seemed off lately." I looked up. "Have I?" She nodded slowly. "I don't know. Distant. Always tired. Working late a lot." I blinked. "You think I'm the one acting different?" I didn't respond. She took a sip, then set her glass down. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Do you still trust me?" That came out of nowhere. My stomach flipped. "Of course," I said carefully. "Why wouldn't I?" She shrugged, avoiding eye contact now. "I don't know. Just feels like maybe. I don't know, like you're suspicious of me lately. Like something's changed." Something had changed, but not in the way she was implying. "I'm just tired," I said. "Long days, you know?" She nodded, but it felt rehearsed. Like she was steering the conversation, buying herself time. Planting seeds. "Mia," I started. What did you do last Friday night? She raised an eyebrow. Last Friday? I stayed late for monthly reports. Why? My throat went dry. How late? She tilted her head. I don't know. Around 11? Did Cole drive you home? That gave her pause. For half a second, something flickered across her face. Then quickly, no. I Ubered. I nodded, slow. By yourself. Her jaw tensed. Jake, she said, suddenly switching tone. Why are you asking me all this? I looked at her, really looked, and something inside me went quiet. Not angry, not desperate, just still. I told you, I said, voice calm. I've been tired, that's all. She waited, like she was expecting more. But I gave her nothing. After a moment, she forced a soft laugh, reaching out to touch my arm. I think we both just need a break. We've been in our heads too much. I let her hand sit there. Warm, familiar, foreign. Yeah, I said. Maybe you're right. That night, we went to bed like usual. She curled toward me like nothing was wrong. Her head rested lightly on my chest. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, wide awake. I had the receipt, the valet ticket, the scent, the seat, the hair tie. But more than anything, I had her silence when I asked. Her pauses, her redirects, and that moment, when she asked if I trusted her. That was the shift. That was her trying to move the spotlight, trying to soften the ground before anything else came to light. And in that moment, I realized something. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't scared. She was preparing for the unraveling. After that night, I started seeing everything I hadn't wanted to before. It's a strange thing how your brain protects you. For months, I had noticed things, small things, things that on their own meant nothing. But stitched together, like a quilt of quiet warnings, they painted a version of Mia I didn't recognize. Or maybe, deep down, I always did. I just couldn't afford to believe it. Started slowly. First, the schedule shifts. She used to get home like clockwork, 6:30 p.m. Tops. She liked routine, even bragged about it. Structure keeps me sane, she'd say. But then came the late nights. At first, they were framed as unavoidable: monthly reports, surprise audits, new team onboarding. Sorry, babe. I'll be back late. Don't wait up. No big deal. But then late nights became every night. She'd text me at 6:45, 7:15, sometimes not at all. The explanations started to blur. Printer broke again. Got roped into another meeting. Cole's team needed a second pair of eyes. Always Cole. Like a shadow cast in every corner of her life. And then her phone. That was the second thing. It used to live on the kitchen counter at night, charging quietly while we cooked or watched dumb reality shows together. Now, it followed her everywhere. To the bathroom, to the bedroom. Even when we'd eat, she'd keep it face down next to her plate like she was expecting a call she couldn't let me see. And the password, God, the password. She never had a password before. She used to laugh at me for locking my phone. Who's trying to steal our memes? She'd joke. Now it had a 6-digit code. Not Face ID, passcode, which meant I couldn't even catch a glimpse when she used it. When I asked her, she smiled too sweetly. Oh, IT made us update our security stuff. Boring corporate compliance thing. Right? I should have pressed her. But I didn't. I told myself I trusted her. I told myself it wasn't worth a fight. But really, I didn't want to know what I'd find. And then there were the errands. Suddenly, she was always running to the store. Always needing to pick up one last thing. Paper towels. Toothpaste. Almond milk. Even when we had almond milk. She'd come home empty-handed or with some random item we didn't need. One time, just a single protein bar. It was crowded, she said, laughing. And I got overwhelmed. You know how I get. But that's the thing, she doesn't get like that. She's calm under pressure. She's never been the type to get overwhelmed by a CVS. That's when it hit me. She was buying time, not things. One Saturday morning, she said she was going to try a new workout class. I blinked at her from the couch. Since when do you work out on Saturdays? She shrugged, slipping her hair into a messy bun. thought I'd try something different, reset my week. Her gym bag looked brand new, still had a fold in the strap. I let it go, but something in me clicked. That same too normal tone, like the truth had been practiced. When she came back 2 hours later, her hair was styled differently, wavier, more polished than it had been when she left. And her nails were freshly done. Light pink. Gel. Not a workout, a salon, or something else. That night, she was especially affectionate. Ordered my favorite takeout. Rubbed my shoulders while we watched Netflix. And the whole time I felt like I was being managed. Like I was a risk being de-escalated. I started testing things. Little things. I moved one of our shared picture frames, the one from our trip to Asheville, just a few inches on the console table. She didn't notice. So I tried again. Her favorite mug? I moved it to the back of the cabinet. Still nothing. The framed print on our bedroom wall? I flipped it upside down. Nothing. It was like she'd stopped seeing the home we built. She wasn't here even when she was. And I realized she'd also stopped taking pictures. We used to snap random photos of each other cooking or walking the dog or even arguing over which Netflix show to rewatch. Now, weeks had passed and there were no new pictures of us on her phone or Instagram. I checked. She used to beg me to take cute couple sh*ts at restaurants. Now she practically dodged the camera. Even her lock screen used to be a photo of us on a hike. Now it was just some default cityscape. Aesthetic. Clean. Anonymous. I asked her once if she wanted to go see a movie that Friday. Just the two of us. She hesitated. "Oh," she said. "I might have to stay late. Month end, you know?" I didn't respond. She glanced over, half apologetic. "Maybe next weekend?" I nodded. But that Friday night, her location blipped out of our usual range. Not at work. Not on Crescent Street either. She turned off location sharing. I started sleeping lighter. I'd wake up when she got home, sometimes past midnight, sometimes with excuses, sometimes with none. Her heels would clack across the tile too loudly. She'd freeze when she realized I was awake, then try to talk like nothing was wrong. "How was your night?" I asked once, just to see her flinch. "Oh, boring," she said. "Just spreadsheets." But her makeup was fresher than it had been at 8 a.m. And her earrings were different. Mia doesn't wear 2 sets in one day. One day, I found her old journal tucked away in a drawer. Not hidden, just neglected. The last entry was from 8 months ago. She used to write almost weekly. Pages and pages. Now it just ended. "I'm starting to feel like I'm standing outside of my life," it read. "Like I'm waiting for something to change, but I'm scared I won't recognize who I am when it does." I don't know if she meant me, or herself, or him, but she stopped writing after that. The worst part? She still smiled. She still kissed my cheek when she left in the morning. Still said, "Love you" before bed. Still texted me midday about groceries or a TikTok she thought was funny. But the weight was gone. The anchor. The substance. Her affection felt like a performance she didn't have the heart to cancel. It wasn't cold. That would have been easier. It was polite, delicate, hollow. One night, I asked her if she wanted to go away for the weekend. Maybe to the cabin we used to rent in the mountains. She smiled sadly. "Babe, you're so busy right now. Let's wait till your project's done." I nodded. But I knew that project wasn't the problem. It was the distance between us, and the silence growing in that space. A silence she was filling with something or someone else. Still, I told myself I didn't have proof. Just feelings, patterns, red flags stitched into routine. But I knew what was coming. I knew that the foundation was already cracking. I just didn't know when the collapse would begin. It stopped being theory the day I opened a spreadsheet. Funny, isn't it? Not a dramatic confrontation. Not some secret message on her phone. A spreadsheet. I had gotten so used to the feeling of something being wrong that part of me forgot I was still looking for answers. The weight of it was constant. I didn't even need new signs. I was already drowning in the old ones. But I hadn't stopped paying attention. I had just stopped expecting to be surprised. Until the data told me otherwise. It was a Saturday morning. Mia was at a leadership summit, and I'd been up since dawn. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, only that I couldn't take sitting in the silence anymore. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and began pulling together pieces. Things I'd been collecting quietly for weeks. GPS pings, card transactions, parking records. Nothing flashy, nothing obvious. But if you lined it up right, told a story. Our office building uses ID badge access to enter every floor. Mia's team works on 7. Cole's team works on 9. They share one conference room on 8. I know because she used to complain about having to book it, like it was a damn concert ticket. I had a friend in IT. We'll call him Nate. He owed me a favor. Just date stamps, I told him. Entry and exit logs. I don't need personal info. It's just for something personal. He didn't ask questions. I didn't give any. He sent over the CSV late Friday night. I didn't open it until Saturday. That's when the pattern appeared. Mia and Cole, badges scanned on 8th floor. Same day, same hour. Not once, not twice. 8 times in 2 weeks. More interestingly, he always got there first. She always left after. I cross-referenced the timestamps with her calendar. She had marked those windows as client calls or deep work blocks. Nothing with Cole. I opened our bank app. Filtered transactions. 2 matched perfectly. $16. 80 coffee from their favorite spot, right before one meeting. $298. 45 boutique hotel. Waterside Lux. Same night as the summit she was supposedly attending. The timestamps matched down to the minute. The hotel charge was at 9:12 p.m. Badge out of the building. 9:08 p.m. Estimated drive time to the hotel? For minutes. I stared at that number on the screen like it was alive. 298. 45. That's not a meeting. That's not an accident. That's a room. I didn't even feel angry. Not right away. I felt hollow. Like my entire body had become scaffolding around a question I already knew the answer to. And still, part of me whispered, it's not enough. So I kept going. I dug into the building's parking logs. It's all automated license plates, entry and exit times. I knew Mia didn't drive in often, but Cole did. He had that black Audi always parked in row D. I found a match Thursday night. His car entered the garage at 8:04 p.m. Left at 9:07. Mia's badge had scanned out at 9:08. I added the data to my growing sheet. Color-coded it. Green for Mia, yellow for Cole, red for overlap. The whole sheet looked like a crime scene. Still, one final piece was missing. The visual. Something undeniable. I called in a second favor. A friend of mine, Jenna, works in security for the building next door. Their cameras face the shared alley behind our office, mostly to monitor delivery trucks and late-night staff movement. I asked if she could help me check footage from 2 specific nights. I can't send you anything, she warned, but I can let you view it if you're really sure you want to. I was sure. We met Sunday morning. She buzzed me in through the side entrance and walked me to the monitor room. Everything smelled like dust and burned coffee. She cued the feed. Here, she said, pointing. This is your timestamp. It was black and white, slightly grainy, but clear enough. I watched the side door to our building open. Cole stepped out first, checked his phone, looked both ways. Then Mia appeared behind him. She wasn't touching him yet, but they were close. Too close for coworkers. They stood there for a few seconds like they were waiting for something. Then they walked together toward the street. No bags, no laptops, no work. At the corner, where the light hits from the hotel across the block, she paused. He turned toward her. They said something I couldn't hear. And then he leaned in. Not for a hug. Not for a goodbye. A kiss. Not quick. Not nervous. A kiss. My breath caught in my throat. I didn't blink. I just stared, trying to find some alternate explanation. Some flaw in the footage that would make it all untrue. But there it was. A timestamp. A kiss. A betrayal. It ended exactly how I feared it would. They pulled apart, looked around, then kept walking. I turned away from the screen. Jenna didn't say anything. She didn't have to. Can I see the other one? I asked. She nodded. Pulled up the second file. Different day. Same outcome. That time they entered Cole's car together. He opened the door for her like they were on a date. Her hand brushed his shoulder. I didn't need to see more. Thank you, I said quietly. She just nodded again and walked me to the door. I got in my car and sat there for a long time. Engine off. Sunlight creeping in through the windshield. My phone buzzed once. Mia. Texting. Long day. Miss you. Home late. Red heart. The same heart she used every time. I stared at it for maybe 5 minutes, then locked the screen. That night, I didn't say a word to her. She came in late again, talking fast about how her team dinner ran over and that Cole's presentation bombed. She was so tired and needed a glass of wine. And why are you being so quiet? I told her I was just thinking about work. She smiled, relieved. She poured a glass, kissed my cheek, and went to shower. And all I could think about was how good she was at lying. How easy it had become for her. How many times she had done it and I never saw. Or maybe I just didn't want to. I thought I'd feel rage. I didn't. I thought I'd feel grief. I didn't, not yet. What I felt was clear. That's the word for it. Not betrayed. Not broken. Just clear. Like the fog had finally lifted. Like the noise had gone quiet. I knew the truth now. And the truth had no room left for hope. I didn't ask her where she'd been that night. Not anymore. I didn't need to. I had all the answers I could stomach. The spreadsheets, the footage, the timestamps that aligned too perfectly. I had built a case stronger than any argument. It didn't come with yelling. Came with math. Logistics. Facts. Mia had already chosen her side. All that was left was for me to choose mine. And that began with silence. Not the kind that punishes. Not passive aggression. Just the kind that clears space. Strips things down to their bones. I stopped trying to connect. Stopped trying to catch her in contradictions or trap her in slips. She wasn't going to confess. She didn't need to. The proof lived in my inbox. In my hard drive. In the quiet space between her words. So I did what she didn't expect. I got organized. The first thing I did was back everything up. I started with the obvious **TS, date logs, video notes. Then I built a private offline drive, encrypted and mirrored across 2 locations. One on my desk at work. One on a flash drive I kept in the glove box of my car. I printed everything, copies of bank statements, parking logs, building access records. I didn't label them, just dates, times, circled overlaps. No comments, no opinions, just evidence. Next came the joint accounts. We had a shared card we used mostly for groceries and utilities, but lately, she'd been charging more and more to it. Ride shares, dinners, even that hotel, though it was hidden under a generic booking code. I called the bank and froze the account. Suspicious activity, I said. Just a precaution. They asked if I wanted to notify the co-holder. No, I said. I'll handle that myself. After that, I changed my passwords. All of them. iCloud, Google, Amazon, Netflix. Even the streaming app we used to fall asleep to. She wouldn't notice right away. I made sure to log her devices out silently. Then I enabled 2-factor authentication. New backup numbers. New security questions. I didn't want her spying on me the way I had quietly learned to spy on her. The irony didn't feel sharp anymore. It felt necessary. I wasn't preparing for war. I was closing the gates. The apartment was next. We lived in a 2-bedroom downtown loft. Mostly hers, if I'm being honest. She had picked the building, the color scheme, the overpriced floating shelves that held books we never read. But my name was on the lease. And I had just as much right to walk out as she did to pretend nothing was wrong. Still, I didn't want to leave a mess. So I made a list. A real one. Not digital. Pen and paper. Just things that were mine. My grandfather's watch. The leather jacket she always stole in the fall. The folding knife from college. My side of the bookshelf. 3 framed photos, one of my dad, one of me and my sister, one of a beach trip I took alone before I met her. I didn't want anything that would trigger a fight. No furniture. No, you bought it, but I paid for the delivery arguments. No sentimental gifts. If she wanted the coffee machine, she could have it. I even left the Bluetooth speaker she loved, even though it was technically mine. I didn't want objects. I wanted oxygen. Then I looked for space. A temporary apartment. Something clean and forgettable. A place with 4 walls and no memory. Took 3 days, 1 showing, and a down payment. 1 bedroom, fully furnished, close to work, no emotional residue. I signed the lease under my full name, Jacob, and didn't tell a soul. When Mia asked where I was going that Saturday morning, I said I had errands. She smiled. Can you pick up oat milk on the way back? Sure. Instead, I went to the new place, dropped off my essentials, made the bed, placed the photos on the windowsill, hung up 2 shirts and 1 blazer. It wasn't home. It was a lifeboat. Then I met with a lawyer. No drama. No sob stories. I slid a folder across the table and said, I'm not sure I need to file yet, but I need to know where I stand. He flipped through the evidence without a blink. Joint lease. Yes. Joint assets. Some. Prenup. No. He paused. Do you want to confront her before we begin? No. Good. He said. Don't. Emotion clouds paperwork. We talked for an hour. I learned more about marital property law than I ever wanted to know. I didn't commit to anything that day. Just took notes. Left with another folder. Another boundary. Back at the apartment, she was curled up on the couch, scrolling her phone, hair still damp from the shower. How was your day? She asked, not looking up. Fine, I said. You? Exhausted. She yawned. That team's falling apart without me. I nodded and went to the kitchen. I didn't ask what team. I didn't remind her that Saturday wasn't a work day. Instead, I did the dishes. All of them. Even the ones she'd soak and forget for 2 days. I scrubbed the countertops. Swept the floors. Wiped the bathroom mirror. Not to impress her. To leave it clean. The house I'd leave behind shouldn't feel abandoned. It should feel peaceful. Like the closing of a book. That night, I lay next to her in bed, eyes open. I listened to the sound of her breathing and felt nothing. No anger, no longing, just the distant echo of something that used to matter. She rolled toward me in her sleep. Her hand landed on my chest. I didn't move, not because I wanted it, because I wanted to remember how it felt to feel nothing. The final step was the letter. Not a goodbye. Not a threat, just a brief, emotionless note. I've updated access to the building. The spare keys are with the neighbors. Please check the kitchen table for information you may need. No need to call. Simple. Clean. No scene. I folded it in half. No envelope. Just enough to make her pause. Then I went through my checklist one last time. Documents? Copied. Evidence? Backed up. Essentials? Moved. Accounts? Locked. I was ready, not for a fight, but for the absence of one. Because sometimes, the most deafening thing you can leave behind isn't a slammed door. It's a house in perfect order. And silence. There's a moment, and you don't know it's the moment while you're in it, when everything you do from that point forward becomes permanent. Not dramatic, not explosive, just irreversible. For me, that moment came on a Tuesday morning. The air smelled like rain. Mia was already gone. She'd left early for a vendor meeting that didn't exist. I knew, because I had already spoken to the vendor in question. I was sitting at our dining table, my laptop open, the cursor blinking in a blank email draft. I stared at the screen for a long time, barely blinking. Subject: Compliance Review Request, Anonymous Submission. To compliance at. I didn't include names in the body. Not mine. Not hers. Just data. Excerpts from the office access logs. Highlighted entries showing coordinated visits to the 8th floor conference room well outside business hours. Parking garage timestamps. Cole's Audi in and out. Mia's badge log within minutes. A credit card transaction data. Matches to hotel visits, rideshare drop-offs, and a boutique restaurant near his apartment. The still frames from external cameras. Nothing that crossed privacy lines. Just two figures caught on public-facing security footage exiting the building together after hours. No accusations. No conclusions. Just facts. Hard, measured, irrefutable facts. I included a note. This data may indicate a potential breach of professional conduct involving managerial hierarchy. Review is advised. All materials presented are verifiable through internal systems. No further commentary. And then I hit send. Just like that. No fireworks. No instant relief. No victory music. Just quiet. But I knew as I closed the laptop that nothing was going back to the way it was. I had crossed the threshold. There would be meetings, internal reviews, conversations behind closed doors. Maybe it wouldn't happen tomorrow. Maybe not even next week. But the gears were turning. And that was the point. I didn't want revenge. I wanted reality to catch up. After that, I made final preparations. The apartment, still ours, became less mine every day. I started removing myself from it in stages. Canceled my subscriptions. Moved my mail. I changed my route to work so I didn't have to drive past our favorite cafe. I removed our anniversary reminder from my calendar. It had a heart emoji. I deleted that too. Little things. Not obvious ones. Just enough to loosen the knots that held our lives together. I visited the new apartment one last time before the move. Placed a few more books on the shelf. Left the window cracked open. It still smelled like paint and nothingness. I liked it that way. Clean air. No history. I asked our mutual friends for space without telling them why. Just a few casual texts. Hey man, I'm going to be off the radar for a while. Working through some personal stuff. Appreciate your understanding. The responses were predictable. Of course, man. You okay? Whatever you need. Here if you want to talk. Is everything all right with you and Mia? I didn't answer that one. Because the truth was no. It wasn't all right. And it hadn't been for a long time. That Thursday, I did one last thing. I walked through the apartment alone, room by room. Not to linger, I wasn't sentimental enough for that, but to clear it of me. In the living room, I removed the framed photo of us at her friend's wedding. Left the frame but slid in a blank placeholder. In the kitchen, I organized the drawer she always called the black hole. The one full of batteries, chargers, receipts. I labeled a few bags, added instructions for anything that might come up. Water bill on autodraft. Do the third. In the hallway, I left a spare key with the neighbors, an older couple who adored Mia. I told them I'd be out of town indefinitely. Work trip, I lied. Can you hang on to this for her? Just in case? They smiled, oblivious. Of course. Tell Mia we say hi. I smiled back. I will. But I wouldn't. The bedroom was the hardest. Not because I was sad, but because it was the most int asterisk mate kind of fake. Our bed had become a stage. Two people lying inches apart, worlds away. She used to sleep curled toward me. Lately, her back was always turned. And I let it be, pretending, every night, that this cold shape beside me was someone I still knew. I changed the sheets, fluffed the pillows, removed the book I had left on my nightstand, unplugged my phone charger. No trace. I opened the drawer and pulled out the folded note I had written days earlier. Keys are with the neighbors. See kitchen for file. No further action required. I placed it gently on the welcome mat, just inside the door. Not under. Not hidden. Right where she'd see it. A full stop. As I closed the door behind me for the last time, I didn't feel triumph. I felt steady. And that was enough. I spent the first night at the new place alone. No music. No news. Just the low hum of the refrigerator and the soft tap of rain against the window. Mia didn't call. She didn't text. She wouldn't, not yet. She wouldn't even realize I was gone until after midnight. Maybe later. When she returned from wherever she'd been, expecting me to be asleep or pretending to be. When she opened the door to a vacuum. To stillness. To absence. I pictured her finding the note, reading it once, twice. I imagined the flicker in her eyes, confusion first, then realization, then the silence that would wrap around her like a cold sheet. No yelling, no scene, Just the weight of what she thought would stay forever suddenly not being there. She'd check the kitchen next. She'd see the manila folder. Inside, bank statements, badge logs, booking confirmations, a neatly printed summary of the last 3 months. No narrative, no confrontation, just the timeline, the math, the map, and in that silence, the truth would grow louder than any words I could have said to her face. I turned off my phone, sat on the edge of the bed in my new, nameless apartment. Outside, the city breathed like it didn't know anything had changed, and maybe it hadn't, but I had. There's a point of no return in every story, a line you cross after which nothing stays the same. I used to think that line was dramatic, explosive, a screaming match, a betrayal shouted across a room. But it's not. Sometimes, it's the quiet click of a door locking behind you. Sometimes, it's a blank file with no emotion. Sometimes, it's the moment you choose not to fight anymore, not because you're weak, but because you're finally free. And for the first time in months, I slept. Not like a man hiding from the truth, but like a man who had stopped carrying it. She came home at dawn to silence. The apartment was spotless, the bed untouched. On the floor, a folded note. Keys are with the neighbors. On the table, documents, timelines, transaction printouts. No messages, no accusations, just the truth laid out cold. She stood in the quiet, eyes scanning what I left behind, and the silence, more than any words, told her it was over. I didn't vanish, I reappeared elsewhere. 1-bedroom rental, no history, no shared past. I moved methodically, unsubscribed, rerouted payments, noted legal deadlines, cleared reminders tied to her. No big speeches, no regrets. The house wasn't a memory anymore. It was a closed tab. What she broke couldn't be repaired. And what remained in me was simple clarity. Not anger, not grief, just the peace that comes when doubt finally dies.